Hey everyone. We're just going to take a few minutes here to wait for everybody to hop on. We can wait for you guys to jump in. But if you are already on, you can feel free to go ahead and type in the chat to say where you're coming from. We are a worldwide community here at Springboard, so always cool to see where different people are coming in from. I think I'll probably give it about a minute or two. So while you guys are jumping on, you can post there, but otherwise hang tight, and in a few minutes, we'll go ahead and get started. Also, while you're waiting, just to run you through some of the basics with the format of Zoom here, there is a Q&A section on your page, and so that will be where you can submit questions, either there or in the chat itself. And so I would encourage you guys, we will take questions at the end. There will be a Q&A session, and we'll get to that in a minute. But if you do have questions, those are the places that you should be submitting them. And I'm excited to kind of see what questions you guys have to help get you answers there. All right, so I think we are going to get started. I am just going to make sure that I get my screen all shared here, and then once we do that, we can get going. So give me 1 second and we will kick it off. Cool, so you guys are all here because I am going to share a little bit more information with you about the data science career track. So what we're going to cover today is what the career track is it right for you? Then talking a little bit more about the one-on-one mentorship model, which is a big platform that we like to use here at Springboard, and it's something that we think really differentiates us from a lot of the other options out there for learning data science. Then talking through some of our curriculum updates that have happened in the last couple of months, going through a little bit of a week in the life. So with an online model like ours, it's very flexible. It's a little bit nebulous on what exactly a week in the life would look like. So we like to be sure to talk you through what a potential week could look like and some of the support that you'll see there. Talking about our guarantee to students, specifically our job guarantee, which I know is a hot button topic for many people considering the program. And then talking a little bit more about student outcomes. So we actually published our first set of outcomes data within the last month, and so sharing a little bit more on those. And then talking through what's next for your journey with Springboard. And then lastly, as mentioned, the Q&A, which will be in the Q&A section of the Zoom that you're in right now. So who am I? My name is Katie. I am the Springboard admissions manager here. So I lead all admissions for the data science career track. Many of you, or all of you, have received multiple emails from me. So I appreciate you attending this session, and know that you could always reach out to me at my email. I'll put it up at the end of the session so that you can reach out there or respond to any of the emails that I send you. We could also book time to talk on the phone. So happy to do all of those things and be a support to you as you move through this admissions process. So a little bit of background on data science in general. Data science is one of the fastest growing job markets. IBM has predicted that by 2020, the demand for data scientists will increase by 28%. The predicted number of data science openings by 2020 will be 2.7 million. And we've often heard that there's a joke in Silicon Valley that data science is the sexy new job. So it's a quick growing market with a lot of potential and opportunities for growth, not just here in San Francisco where we're based, but across the country and across the world. So talking a little bit about the data science career track and whether it's a right fit for you. So we have people joining the career track from all walks of their career path. Some people have decided, 20 years into their career that they want to make a complete switch. Some people are in a role where they're doing some work with data, but they really want to get deeper into how to leverage machine learning and algorithms to be closer to the data science side of things. And some people are just starting their career. So they've come out of college looking for where to start. And so this course is really a great fit for all those people because it's online and self-paced. So that means that no two people are going to have the same interaction with the curriculum. You will really be defining sort of how quickly you move through it, as well as what topics you want to focus in on. And so that's really important especially if you know sort of, I want to go into this specific industry, but I need the data science skills to get me there. It's a great fit for people with that goal. And so the course itself is takes an average of 6 months to complete, doing about 15 to 20 hours a week of work. That can be shortened depending on how quickly or slowly you're moving through the course, as well as your familiarity with the different topics that are covered in the course. But typically we say it's around 500 to 600 hours of learning, half of which is spent on projects. And so you can kind of budget that out. If you want to spend every waking hour doing data science, it might be faster, but that's usually how much total work it will take. And so through the course, you'll gain not only the hard skills, but also the soft skills necessary to be successful as a data scientist. You will have worked on 2 major industry-grade capstone projects, which we'll get into a little bit more later, but those build out your portfolio. And you'll have access to career coaching, which will help you with your resume and building up the confidence necessary to score those data science jobs, as well as to be successful in them. So talking a little bit about the career or the curriculum updates that I had mentioned at the beginning of the presentation, we have had the addition of specializations, which are really exciting for us. These are the option to focus in on the second half of the course on either the machine learning track, which is covering topics like social network analysis, time series analysis, and advanced data visualization. The natural language processing track, so focusing in on how tech data can be broken down and leveraged to make different business decisions, and the deep learning track. So this one is very math heavy, and so we'll definitely ask that you lean into your mentor's suggestions when they say whether or not it's a good fit for you. But the deep learning track will dive into a lot of the major algorithms that are going into modern technology advances leveraging deep learning. So things like self-driving cars, for example. And quickly, something to note here before moving on, actually, this is a question we've gotten in past info sessions, so I want to cover it now. When you select a track, you will only get access to the curriculum focused in on that track. So we don't allow you to do multiple tracks at the same time right now. That's not an offering. It is something students have expressed interest in, and so it's something we will continue to explore as we move forward. But right now, when you pick a track, you focus in on that. And we make sure that your mentor is someone who has expertise in that track and feels comfortable supporting you in it, because we want to make sure that you're getting the best possible learning. So you'll have a mentor who can give you really good and deep insight into one of those tracks, whichever one you happen to choose. So next is the capstone projects. These are 2 industry-grade capstone projects that are designed to really give you hands-on experience necessary to get hired. And so as mentioned, the second capstone project will be focused in on the specialization that you choose. And I think just want to dive into these capstone projects. Again, a lot of students will ask about what kind of certificate we offer you when you graduate. You will get a certificate from Springboard, which does carry weight because we have an employer network where they're employers that we have given really in-depth insights on our curriculum to, as well as our mentors who are really the best of the best, and so they're also vouching for our curriculum. But beyond any particular certificate, these capstone projects are really what differentiate you as a candidate. So you could think about them kind of, if you think about when you go into an interview, for example, you'll go in with your resume and you could potentially go in with the certificate and you say, I have this list of skills. And the person interviewing you will say, okay, cool, they say they have these skills. How do we test to make sure that they actually do? And that's kind of a tricky place to put a hiring manager. And when they're running through a lot of interviews at once or a lot of job applications, it's not necessarily something that they want to do. So we actually took the time to talk to hiring managers about exactly what they do when they're hiring for data scientists. And one of the first things they'll check out is your portfolio. And so if you can have these industry grade capstone projects in your portfolio that demonstrate these are the skills that this candidate has. Now let's make sure when they come in for the interview that they actually are the same person who worked on these projects. It makes for a much smoother application process for you and a much smoother interview process. These projects are also open-ended, so we will not tell you this is what you're going to work on. You will actually be going out and finding a data set, and your mentor will help you, giving you ideas of places to search for data. But you're really going to go out and find a data set that inspires you, and you're going to think independently and take the project from A to Z, which is super important because as a data scientist, again, that's really what hiring manager is looking for. They're looking for someone who could come in on the first day of the job and have the business development team say, here's our set of data, we don't know what to do with it, and actually look at it and say, okay, here are my hypotheses, here's what I want to test, here's how I want to run with this. So those capstone projects are really going to teach you, they're going to teach you a lot of the soft skills, a lot of the skills working with ambiguous situations, as well as demonstrate to hiring managers that you have actually learned all of those different hard to pin down skills with that interview process. So now I want to give you just a quick look at what the platform looks like. So if you take a look here, you can see that you will you'll have your student dashboard up at the top. You'll see on the left your different elements of the curriculum and your different chapters, and you'll be given the option to click through videos. You'll click completed. There are articles to click through. And so this is really cool because it means that when you're looking at a chapter, for example, we're looking at chapter 2 right now, there are some sections that are video and some that are articles. And you can really kind of skip around and work through the curriculum at your own pace, which means not just moving quickly or slowly through the curriculum, but also some days, especially for our students who are working full-time or managing family obligations, etc., you might get home at the end of the day and think the last thing I want to do is data science. And students have had that before. It is not always easy to get home and just hit the ground running with that data science work. And so the ability to pick through and say, you know what, after a long day at work, I want to watch some videos. That's all my mind can handle right now. That's totally fine. And that's one of the beauties of having that online and flexible curriculum. So moving on, we want to talk a little bit about a week in the life. So, this is, again, just one example of the way you could work through a week in the curriculum. Everybody does it their own way, and that's totally up to you. But so, for example, one person might on Monday work through some coursework and do check-ins. So you'll have various projects throughout the curriculum. The curriculum is comprised of 12 mini projects as well as those 2 major capstone projects. And so you might work through whatever those articles are, working through some of those mini projects. You can also come up with notes for your mentor call, and we'll get a little into that in a second. But the next thing that you could do is doing a check-in with your online community or your TA. So there's a course TA who's available 7 days a week to field questions over email. And so you can check in with that person. You also will have, in addition to that TA, a student advisor who's a Springboard person, kind of my counterpart once you're enrolled in the course. And so that student advisor is really going to be a great resource for you, tracking your progress. So they're managing your progress on our end to say, okay, if you're looking a little behind, maybe reaching out, seeing what's going on, coming up with a game plan. And that person is really someone you can reach out to with any questions, comments, or concerns you have about the course. Then on Tuesday, you might attend an event. So as mentioned earlier, we are based in San Francisco, and we have tried to increase the number of live events that we're hosting in our offices here. Our goal and vision for the future is that we will also start to host more events at a regular cadence across first the United States and then, ideally the world. So we have large aspirations there for our live events, but in the short term, with our San Francisco-based events, we want to make sure that that worldwide community can still tap in and tune in. So we have committed to hosting Facebook Live events for those major events that we're doing, and really allowing you to interact and engage through the comments section on the Facebook Live. We also try to do as many panels as possible, so you can submit questions over the internet, and then we also are housing all of the videos that we do of events like that, as well as events like this webinar on our website or on YouTube. So making sure that we have links to share there if you miss anything or you want to rewatch, because you had so much fun watching the first time. Those are all options. Then on a Wednesday, you might have your one-on-one mentor call. So as discussed earlier, the mentor model is really something that sets us apart. And so these mentor calls are something that you have regularly scheduled each week at the same time. And so this is really a time for you to talk to that industry expert. So someone with an average of 8 to 10 years experience in the field, who we vet carefully to make sure that these mentors are not just technical experts, but they're also experts on the soft skills and on really coaching you and making sure that you're able to learn the nuances of the industry from them. And so you have these calls each week. And again, as noted, depending on what background you have and what you're interested in, you can really define how you move through the curriculum and what you're learning in these different sessions. So if you're, let's say, really, really interested in a specific application of natural language processing, you can focus in on that on these different calls. These are also a time to work through feedback on your projects, because your mentor is going to be the person who evaluates the different projects that you submit, as well as your 2 major capstone projects. And also, as far as career advice goes, these mentors, because they are typically an 8 to 10 year experience individual, they are often leading their own data science teams, which means that they have often sat on the other side of the hiring manager table. So many students have said that they've gained invaluable experience with these mentors as far as their job search. One student said that he actually would go through, he started applying to jobs early, which is definitely an option, and we'll get to why in a second, but he was talking to his mentor every week and checking in about the different interviews that he had done, and it really turned it into a learning process. So while the job search can be a little tough sometimes, he was able to connect with his mentor each week and say, okay, what did I learn from this interview and how can I continue to grow moving forward? Then on Thursday, you have your weekly office hours. So those are every Thursday at 6 p.m. And the session will focus in on one of 3 things. So it'll either be career oriented, focusing in on the job search and how you could, better optimize your job search. Project presentations, so that'll be students who are graduating. We have a cohort running every month, so there are students constantly finishing up their capstones, so presenting some really top-notch capstone projects so you can feel inspired. And then general Q&A, so that's more of an open office hours where you can bring your questions and get them answered. Friday might be time to spend working on your capstone project. So again, as mentioned earlier, half of your time each week roughly will be spent working on those capstones. And we'd like to stress, these are big bodies of work. These are really going to be the differentiator for you, and your mentor will be there every step of the way to help, especially encourage you. There are certain data sets that have been used often, and really you want to find a unique set of data or a unique point of view on a set of data for these capstone projects to set you apart with with the capstone. And doing things like blogging around it, etc., are additional things that you can do to really set yourself apart with a potential employer. But these are also pieces of work that you want to give a lot of time to ideating around, and you might run into walls and barriers, so you might have to pivot, and I think that's a skill set you'll learn and develop, but that's also why it could take more time than you anticipate. So past students have said time and time again, make sure to stress the capstone projects do require a lot of work, and in order to make them really work for you in the job search, you want to set aside a lot of time to work on them. Then, Saturday might be study sessions. So again, as mentioned, there's an online community of students. Those are students not just in your cohort, but across different cohorts. And so we've actually found that a lot of students, we don't organize study groups for different students, but students have found other people in their community. So, there's a group of students in San Jose who get together a couple of times a month and work through the curriculum, talk about different questions they have, and just, it's nice to have that community element. For those of you who are in an area where you think you might not have any other Springboard students, we've also had students find people across the country who they video chat with regularly who have similar backgrounds. So there's definitely that online community is there, and it is what you make of it, but it is a place where students have really been able to find a strong sense of community in kind of the virtual space. And then Sunday would be potentially a career coach call. So you can have regular 30-minute calls with these career coaches that start actually in chapter 3 of the curriculum. And so this is time to do resume help, networking guidance, some mock interview practice. And again, these calls are available to you as you move through the curriculum. Some people choose to leave their career search to the end of the curriculum. Others choose to start it up and work on it in tandem with the technical work itself. And both are good options. It is what you choose to make it. So you'll have that access to the career coaches actually not just while you're in the curriculum, but for up to 6 months after you graduate. And so just to summarize, you will have a full village moving the mountain to get you that first job in data science. We really are proud of these touch points. Our founders created Springboard because they realized there was a kind of an alarming drop-off of students who are trying to do an online education model, but who started up and feel really alone or run into walls and just are having struggles and don't have anybody to connect with. So they created Springboard to be kind of a best of both worlds. You still get a full suite of support, but you also still have that flexibility of an online education model. So next up, I just want to talk briefly about our job guarantee. The job guarantee is that we guarantee that you will get a job within 6 months of graduating, or we will refund your tuition. This is just to demonstrate to you that we are committed to your success and that we really believe in the product offering that we are providing you. So I know that there are a lot of online education models as well as bootcamp models out there, and it can be really overwhelming to navigate through the noise. And so the reason we've created this guarantee is almost as an insurance policy to you to say that we truly believe in what we are offering and we're putting our money where our mouth is. There are some eligibility restrictions on the job guarantee. I want to note a couple of the big ones that come up frequently. So one is that you have to be eligible to work in the United States for at least 2 years from the start of your cohort, meaning that for this August 6th cohort, you have to be eligible until August of 2020. And during that time, you cannot be requiring that an employer sponsor you to extend your eligibility. It has to be just 2 years. And that's just because it can add additional complications to the process when you are requiring that an employer sponsor you. The second is that you have a bachelor's degree. So that's just another one that could add potential complications. And I want to note with both of those, you would still get access to all of the same support that I've mentioned previously. It's just that you would not be eligible for the guarantee itself if you do not meet those requirements. The third is that you have to be applying to at least 4 jobs a week, 4 data science positions a week in one of 20 urban centers where we offer the guarantee. So there are people who choose not to apply to jobs in those cities. They don't feel like moving. And again, as mentioned with the other eligibility requirements, we will still completely support you in that job search. We have plenty of students who have chosen to search for jobs that are remote, or maybe looking for jobs in cities that are not on that list, and they still get all the same support. So it's really just there as an insurance policy, but you get all of those amazing assets that will set you up for success in the job search, kind of regardless of whether or not you're eligible. We just like to make sure, because we're big believers in transparency, to talk about that early, because we know that that is one of the eye-catching elements of the Springboard curriculum is that guarantee. So we like to talk about that earlier rather than later in the process. I also want to note that the average job offer is actually coming in at 24 weeks from the start of the cohort. So that's oftentimes students are getting jobs before they even complete the 6-month cohort. 6 months is 24 weeks. So we've actually found that about 60% of students are finding jobs before they complete the course. And that's really just a testament to the fact that you get those career services early and you're working on them while also working through these technical skills. So quickly, just, these are some quotes from different students. Generally speaking, we've found that students across the board have said the mentor model is one of the biggest things that stands out to them, as well as the capstone projects. You can kind of take a look at these as I keep talking, and I'll actually use this time to just mention that you will be able to have a more personal interaction with one of our alumni. We'll be having the panel session next week where I will be back. I will be doing a lot less talking. And we'll have a career coach as well as one of our alumni and a mentor attending that session, so you can actually ask about their experiences with the course and sort of pick their brains there. Now I want to talk a little bit about outcomes. So this is data that we've actually just released, but this is, as I was mentioning earlier, we have students getting their job offers, many students before they even graduate from the course, and then 100% of students are getting a job offer within 6 months. This is 100% of students who are eligible for the job guarantee, but we've had 0 students. That means that we've had 0 students actually ask for a refund or request a refund because of that job guarantee, which is something we're really proud of. It's, again, just a testament to our amazing career services team, which is part of why I'm so excited for you guys to be able to actually ask questions of that career services team next week. and this is just reiterating that point. Oh, sorry, so 70% of students actually get a job offer before graduating from the course. We've updated this information recently, so apologies there, but good news that it's even higher than what I was originally saying. Also breaking down kind of job titles. So more than 70% of accepted offers were in core data science roles. And I think just stopping here for a second, I want to also point out, so a lot of people will ask me about the job guarantee and about, like, I don't want a data analyst job, I only want a data science job. And our number one goal with this course is that we are teaching you data science. We hope that you will be then moving on into a job where you are doing data science. But something important to note about the field of data science in general, and we'll get into this next week as well when we have a mentor as well as an alumni to talk through this even more in depth. But there's not a lot of consistency in the data science industry across different companies as far as titling goes. So at some companies, data analyst does mean that you're focusing more on Excel and you're completely separate from the data science teams. You're very siloed. But at other companies, the term data analyst is actually used to describe a junior level data scientist. And so with navigating that, it can be hard for you to, as you're looking at the job search, figure out which positions you're a good fit for and which titles to even be looking for. And so that's just another area where having both a mentor and a career coach is hugely valuable, so that you don't end up wasting your time applying to positions that are too junior for you or that are too senior for you. And you can find a lot of roles at really awesome companies that you might not have even noticed if you were trying to do a LinkedIn search or something on your own. And then this is just a salary distribution of accepted offers. So we've found that the average student is actually receiving a salary increase after completing the course of more than $19,000. But this is kind of where the breakdown is. And, a lot of people ask exactly what salary they can expect after graduating. And, it really does depend on what industry you're interested in, as well as some other things like what past experiences you've had. If you are someone who has had experience managing teams before, I do want to stress that our career services team has seen people from kind of across the board as far as job backgrounds coming through the Springboard course. And so they're well equipped to assist you with a middle management careers transition and how best to leverage that to start out at a position that might have a little bit more management involved. So what's next? As mentioned, the Q&A panel is next week, and I hope that you can all attend. There's kind of nothing pre-prepared there, so it's just a lot of you asking questions, and then I will repeat the questions to our panel. So if you don't ask questions, it'll just be four of us sitting on a webinar, kind of hanging out. There's also going to be an info session replay. So if at any point in this presentation I said something and you wish that you had written it down or you have more questions about it, you can check it out, the replay again, and then feel free to shoot me any questions that you have. And then, as mentioned, my email is katie@springboard.com. So if any of those questions come up, I'd be happy to answer them over email, or if you shoot me an email and say, I'd love to get on the phone, I would love to find time to chat with you as well. And with that, that's kind of the end of the presentation. So I am going to now start fielding questions. So I'm going to just escape out of this. But I would love to start answering any questions if you have any. So you can feel free to send those directly to me. Or you can, sorry, I'm switching off of the screen share so I can actually look at the questions. But you can feel free to shoot questions over through the Q&A panel or in the chat room. So either of those is an option. So how much is the level of your syllabus if you want to go for a master's program? So I think that question is more, does this prepare you for a master's program? And I would say, like, if that is a goal of yours, then that is definitely one path that people have taken. Actually, I've had a number of students who have said they chose to do the Springboard course because it would prepare them for a position as a junior level data scientist, so that they could figure out if data science is even the right fit for them, instead of expending a lot of money and incurring quite a bit of debt with a master's program only to realize that data science is not something that excites them. They can actually go through and use this course to kickstart their career in data science, figure out what trajectory they want to follow, and get a lot of advice from their mentor, both within Springboard as well as their mentor at their future job, and then decide what master's program is the best route forward. So that's one option if a master's program is something that you're considering. By the same token, you might find that you don't even need a master's program when you actually get into that role. So it's a really good way to make sure that you're best determining your kind of career path. And yes, I will be sharing out the video of this in general, Engine. If there's a specific slide that you're curious in seeing, I can also shoot that over to you. So feel free to shoot me an email with exactly what you want to see, and I can send that over to you. During taking the course, if you get a job and are busy with your new job, could you extend the time to complete the course? So yes, there are a couple of options here. One is that you actually get the option in the course to either pause or freeze. So pausing is you take 1 to 4 weeks where you would not be having your mentor calls, but that's time for you to really keep working on the curriculum and potentially to catch up if you get behind. Freezing is if you took on a new job and you needed like a month to get settled in that job and you know you're not going to have time to work on the curriculum at all, you can actually take that month where you don't have access to the curriculum and you don't have your mentor calls, and you can come back to the curriculum after that month. So those are both options. We also give you the option to, we understand we're people here too. So it's something we're having that student advisor and being able to have a conversation with them about exactly how to proceed when you have that job offer. That's something where you could just have that dialogue with your student advisor, and they're definitely open. We've kind of come up with on a case-by-case basis a lot of different options. So what happens when I complete the course? When you complete the course, so you will have access to your career coach for up to 6 months after graduating. And so you'll be encouraged, and your career coach will be checking in with you on your job search. So that's really time for you to be applying to different jobs, as mentioned, 4 jobs a week in order to be eligible for the job guarantee. And you'll really be able to tap into that career coach to make sure that those 4 jobs are a good fit. So if you're applying to 4 jobs and you're not getting the responses you want, you actually have resources to support you there, as far as figuring out how best to optimize that search. Your career, when does your career coaching start? So it starts in chapter 3 of the curriculum, and your career coach will be helping you kind of with a broad variety of things. So it depends on what you're most interested in learning about. So it could be everything from updating your resume and your LinkedIn, to working on your portfolio and how best to pitch it, to practicing both technical and behavioral interviews. So for people who are making a career transition, or maybe people who are re-entering the workforce, really being able to fine-tune your answers to a lot of the classic behavioral questions you'll be getting asked. And then also helping you with things like blogging about your capstone projects. We've had students who get jobs solely because they've blogged about their capstone. So getting the support from the career coach as far as best practices on what words to use, etc., to really make sure that you're getting picked out of the crowd by those different hiring managers. I mentioned the relationship between a master's degree and guaranteeing the job. What was the thing I mentioned? I don't know exactly what the question is there. I think what I was saying is, so with the job guarantee, you are, you'll be getting a job after completing the course. And so within that job, you'll be able to actually establish yourself as a data scientist, understand what it looks like working in the field of data science, and also figure out like where exactly it is you want to be going before paying for that master's degree. Because, we've actually had students who will come to us after completing a master's and say, like, it was awesome. I learned a lot through this academia process, but I graduated and had no idea how to get a job. I had no idea what the types of jobs I could be getting were. And I didn't really know where to go from where I went. I just kind of did the master's because I didn't exactly know how else to get into data science. So I think that's why if a master's is something on your mind, it can be a good way to approach it through that path instead. That's what some of our students have done in the past. So how many capstone projects are there? There are 2 capstone projects. So one will be around the middle of the course and one is at the end. So it's focused in on one of those specializations, depending on which one you pick. And there are the mini projects along the way. So we'd like to make sure that we're checking in on your understanding and comprehension of the different skills that you're learning, not just through the capstone project, because that's a bigger a project where you want to be thinking on a more macro level, not as much on a micro level. So there are many projects along the way where your mentor can really check in to make sure that you're building out the technical skills and that you're not just reading the material, but you're really deeply comprehending it. Do you get to pick your mentor? So you don't get to pick your mentor, but what will happen is once you pass the take-home challenge and then you choose to enroll in the course, you will be given the option to fill out your student profile. That's where you'll be filling out your availability. So our number one priority is to make sure your mentor is available at a time that works for you. And for anybody calling in from an international location or watching this recording after the fact, from an international location, we have mentors all over the world. So we have never had an issue of a mentor being available at a time that works for you. I know that sometimes my call hours are a little wonky there as well with that time difference. And so if you haven't been able to find a time that works to get on the phone with me, please shoot me an email and I'm happy to find a time that works better for you in your time zone. The mentor, when you fill out that student profile, you will also be encouraged to fill it out in as much detail as is possible so that our mentor matching team can really find a mentor who's a good fit for you and on your industry of interest, on certain skills that you're trying to learn, etc. So that is on mentor matching. About our platform, can you use an iPad or a tablet to access and learn your course? So you definitely can use an iPad to work through some elements of the curriculum. What I will say is that I don't know if you've ever tried coding on an iPad. I haven't done it personally. I have heard that it is very challenging. So we do encourage you to work as you work through the curriculum. You're going to probably want access to a computer for that coding, those coding portions when you're coding within Python. But you can definitely watch some of the videos on it. I'm currently taking one of our other Springboard courses right now, and I have definitely used my phone to watch videos on my commute. So that is an option. Cool. And then I think the last question is just talking through so somebody said, can you tell me more about what the value of a mentor is versus maybe an instructor in an in-person course? And so I think what I'll say to that is that, it's great having an instructor to have that accountability, and especially in person, some people learn better in that way. But I think that the issue with an instructor in a 30-person class is, I touched on this before, but the instructor has to move at the pace of the class as a whole. So if you have particular topics you want to focus in on, if you are moving faster or slower in the class, you're really kind of held to the class's pace, and the instructor can only provide you so much one-on-one attention. With this mentor model, you're actually building out a personal relationship with the mentor, and you're able to really move at your own pace and focus in on topics that most interest you. So that's really great for a variety of students coming from different backgrounds, and it helps to make sure that you're really getting a uniquely customized experience to you. So that's sort of where the mentor model is huge, and the mentor is beneficial in a variety of things, not just technical and soft skills, but also in just providing you basic guidance on things like, for example, that career path and figuring out where it is you even want to go with data science. Really providing you a lot of deep understanding of the field from someone who's been there. If you pass the take-home challenge once before, but you don't attend the following cohort, do you need to take the challenge again to be eligible for the program? So you are eligible with that passing score for up to 3 cohorts. So if you applied to, let's say, this July cohort that just closed, you would be eligible for both our August cohort and our September cohort. If you don't end up choosing to enroll in either of those, then you are always welcome to retake the take-home challenge. But it's something that expires after 3 months. So in 3 months' time, you would have to retake it. Similarly, if you are in the challenge phase right now and you're concerned that if you try to take the take-home challenge and you don't pass, that you're never going to be able to take the data science career track, that is not true. You can actually retake the challenge in 1 month's time. And just also for those people who are in that challenge phase, because I know there are some of you on the call right now, you're also just to break down what the challenge is, it's 10 statistics questions and 2 open-ended coding questions that are going to cover things like loops and some other basic concepts around programming. So if you need free resources to help brush up on those skills before taking the challenge, feel free to email me after this, and I am happy to shoot you some free resources that'll help you to learn those skills. Cool. So I think that's about all the time that we have today, unless anybody has any final questions. If you have a question that I didn't get to today in the Q&A, feel free to shoot me an email. I'm always happy to respond there. But otherwise, I'm glad that you were all able to attend, and I encourage you all to attend our session next week for the Q&A. So until then, feel free to email me if you have any questions, but have a great rest of your Wednesday. All right, bye.